See and be heard going live. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. The topic is CRM 101, everything you want to know. Um, to be fair, it's a big topic, so I don't know if we're going to cover all of Dynamics CRM, but we're going to cover a lot, and it's exciting, and I'm excited to show you some things. So with that being said, let us introduce our speakers. So my name is Jenny Axelrod. I am the practice director for our CRM side of the house. And I've been in this space for over a decade in the dynamic space, and I've played every role when it comes to this platform, starting from the pre-sale side. We're getting people kind of excited about the application, which is a lot of fun, and actually deploying, right? Business analysis side of it, project manager, architect, system architect, developer, and then post go live, right? The support side of it, the user acceptance, all those things in the and that it takes to deploy Dynamics CRM for medium, small, and enterprise Fortune 500 level companies in different verticals I've been involved in. And I'm happy to talk about this platform. I've made a career of talking about this platform and excited to talk about it today. And with me, I have my coworker. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian Fazenfeld. I'm a Dynamics Principal Consultant in the CRM practice here at Synoptek. I've been working with CRM since version 3.0, so roughly about 15-ish years. Again, I've been part of pretty much every part of the project, like Jenny mentioned, from pre-sales up through, post-go live support and ongoing support. I actually have a background in sales and marketing. That's what I started out my career as, and then moved into more of a consulting role for, primarily supporting Dynamics CRM. And yeah, I also live and breathe this product, and have used it myself when I was in a sales and marketing role.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian. And for the folks who want to, you can, right now we're in Dynamics 365. That's, the version that we're in. If you Google, 3.0, you'll see some pretty drastic differences. It's kind of fascinating how far this project has come. So it's kind of for me and Brian, it's a little nostalgic to do that sometimes. Um, but once again, thank you so much for joining. One thing I will say before I jump into the overview of our organization is feel free to ask questions. Um, I know the platform, Brian knows the platform. We also know our organization. This webinar is for you. We really want you to get as much out of this as possible. And so ask your questions. If even if you think they're silly, go ahead and ask it, and we'll do our best to answer. With that being said, let me tell you a little bit about our organization that we're at. We're with Synoptek. We like to say that we are, the last IT partner you're going to need, right? Dynamics is a portion of what we do. We're technology agnostic, which has its benefits in the sense of we will steer you to the right tech depending on your business problems or business solutions that you require. That's a benefit, right? And we do the full stack, right? If you're building a custom product for your organization, we do product development. If you have security issues, we'll hop in and help out with that. Infrastructure, collaboration concepts, data, reporting, analytics, we help you with that. But today we're focusing on the business application side of the house, which would include the Dynamics CRM platform. This slide's probably a little bit outdated, but you can see we have 1,000 plus full-time employees. I think that number is a little bit higher now, maybe 1,300. And our Dynamics practice is about 300 folks, right? So our Dynamics practice includes Business Central, Finance and Operations, Dynamics CRM. And so CRM is about 50 to 60 people strong, focused on this platform, and then the industries, right? These are important because not only do we know the tech and we can help with the tech, once you spend a lot of time in an industry, whether you worked in it or you consulted in it, you have experience, you have business best practices, and we come with a lot of knowledge around some of these industries that we specifically call out here. These obviously aren't the only industries we work with, but these are ones where we can say, hey, if we're stepping into manufacturing conversations, we have the right person to help guide you on, some of the better business decisions you can make utilizing the tech. And then over on the right of the slide, you can see some of the technology we partner with, and we're really small techs. We're a Microsoft partner. We're a managed partner, which is a big deal in our opinion. If Microsoft has, 100,000 partners, we're 1,000 of the partners that they manage. And then and you get that by being excellent at what you do. So That's a little bit about us. Thank you so much for joining, and let's jump into a little bit of the agenda and then the meat of the presentation. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Dynamics ecosystem, some of the different modules of of Dynamics CRM. I'm going to give you a quick UI demo. I'm going to pull up Dynamics so you kind of see what it looks like because I want to be conscious of time. And then what we do is then people reach out and say, hey, I want to see the demo of some of my concepts, right? Can you build out a demo to show me this and this? And we do that, right? So we'll gladly do that. We'll talk about some success stories, and then we'll talk about reiterate why we think we're Synoptek's really set up to make you be successful in this tool. So here I want to show you the Microsoft Dynamics ecosystem. Now, before I specifically talk about Dynamics ecosystem, you can see there's so much stuff. We're obviously not covering all of this. I want to back up a little bit to the Microsoft clouds, right? So Microsoft has the three main clouds that they work in today, these business clouds. The one that we've all spent the most time in, Office 365, relabeled as Microsoft 365, those collaboration tools, those the Outlooks, the SharePoints, the PowerPoints, Word, Excel, those fall into that Microsoft 365 bucket, right? Those we all use them all the time. Uh, with these other two clouds I'm going to mention, they've been turned up to 11. And what does that mean? I'll explain that in a second. The second cloud, the other cloud is the Azure cloud, right? That is um, your more computing platform, your development cloud, where some of those concepts, like you may heard of AI, machine learning, building custom applications, and it's used for all kinds of stuff. But some of the more technical pieces are built out they're custom, and some of the functionality gets bubbled up to the other applications. Some of that AI functionality that lives in Azure land gets bubbled up into the third cloud, like that, which is Dynamics, right? So bubbles up, and you reap some of the benefits of the other applications within these clouds. And like I said, in the third cloud is this Dynamics ecosystem, which is what we're looking at here. And within the cloud, they break it up into I don't know what the right word is, but maybe sections or different business solutions, right? So we're looking at this Dynamics cloud here, and you can see we have ERP solutions. So I'm not going to go through all these, but I'll mention a few interesting ones. ERP solutions, whether you're small, medium, decent sized organization, you may use Business Central for your accounting ERP needs. If you're enterprise larger, you might use finance and operations, right? So those are those ERP tools, right? If you're doing retail or online retail, you might use the commerce tool. HR, you don't want to use ADP or Workday, maybe you use, So the point is they have a business solution for everything, and the power of it is Microsoft has done a really good job of tying these things together, right? So you can so much so that you can see some of the tools that fall into the CRM solution also fall into the services bucket, which also fall into the collaboration bucket, right? So if we're talking about sales, we're talking about tying LinkedIn integration, which Microsoft actually happens to own LinkedIn, to sales. If we're talking about service, we're tying in the omni-channel concept, which is taking the channels of how routing a ticket goes, or tying the channels of somebody can open a ticket, or help ask for services, tying that all back to the customer service CRM solution, right? So these things are tied together, so when we talk about these things in general, outside of today, in general, I'm not saying, hey, let's deploy Dynamics 365 sales for you. It's what's your business problem, and within the stack, what makes sense to solve that. Brian, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, or you want me to just kind of keep going.
Yeah, I can keep going. I think just to echo sort of what you talked about, this the integration components of it, everything that Microsoft has developed, whether it's an ERP or CRM or even some of the collaboration solutions at the bottom, they're very tightly integrated. They put a lot of thought into that, so you can pull in some of these disparate sources of data and better utilize them once they get into like a CRM solution that we're building.
Exactly. Thanks, Brian. So before I jump to, you see, we put a box around the CRM section. We want to really hone in on that, and specifically hone in on some of the bigger modules that exist within the CE, customer engagement, which is the rebranded name for CRM. We still all call it CRM when it's really, they gave it a new name. With that being said, we want to focus on these four, and then explain. why, and then I'm really passionate about using Dynamics as a framework, and I'll explain what that means. So these are the big ones. Like there's the sales, customer service, field service, and marketing, right? These are pre-built modules from Microsoft. I wouldn't call them point solutions, but I would call them a really, really good starting point to beginning your um, application, the framework. I essentially would call them templates. Like you have your sales template, and it's your standard how people usually manage in a sales cycle, the leads to an opportunity, and you're working your accounts and tying that together. But the power of the platform isn't these modules or templates. The power of the platform is it's extremely configurable without custom code, without hacking the system, use being a citizen developer, if you will. You can modify the tool to work to your needs, your business needs, in a very what feels like a custom way without any custom logic. And I think that's so important. So the sales, the customer service, the field service, they accomplish those tasks, these big business engines for you, and then you modify them and tweak them to your needs. That's where Synoptek provides the value, right? Microsoft pushes out the templates and the modules, and then you work with a company like ours to improve on it and make it powerful for your business. What's nice about these modules is you can choose which ones you deploy, right? If you want to start with just sales, if you want to start with just the service side of it, you absolutely can. And the pricing and the concepts adapt to that. And because it feels a little bit like Legos and you're stacking these bricks, in the future, if you designed and architected correctly, if you start with sales at first, you can always add customer service with minimal effort. Once again, no real custom code there. So I think that's so powerful. And then one other thing I want to say before I dig into each one um, deeper is from the biggest benefit I would say from these applications, because we all know there's other sales solutions, we all know there's other customer service solutions. What is the benefit of it all being a single pane of glass? Is, to me, when I work with customers and explain it, is your that customer 360, the idea of never having to do any double entry ever again, is extremely powerful story for a lot of businesses, especially those small medium ones where there's you take it from system A to system B. You're not because you haven't built the integration. You can save so much time and see a direct ROI from a single person's value because they're spending less time copy pasting and more time just going out there and hunting or doing whatever, hunting leads or doing whatever they need to do. So, Brian, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything to the slide. If not, I'll continue on and talk a little bit about, kind of module by module. Um, so Dynamics 365 Sales, right? So this is the tool that, like it sounds, it's for your sales engine. And the way I like to explain it, kind of at a high level, is we all have the customer we want to work with, right? And the power of this tool is um, you are able to see everything related if you set up the tool correctly and when you get people using it, that change management piece. From a technical perspective, this tool gives you the ability to see everything related to that customer, right? And if I just take the tools that are available to us that we all use today, right? That happen to be Microsoft tools like Outlook, right? We have the ability with us consultants or whoever does it clicks a checkbox, and now all the email conversations, all the context that you want, you know, all the appointments can get tied back to that customer record. So now you have that story from that standpoint there. Now, whatever documents are floating around people's desktops or floating around different SharePoint folders, and you connect SharePoint to that customer, and now you can store those documents, right? Um, Against that customer. And then if you want to collaborate, if you're working towards a larger opportunity with that specific customer, you're working, building a relationship and you want to collaborate with your boss, you want to collaborate with somebody else from another team, you can connect once again with clicking a checkbox. You can get that Teams connection and you can chat about the customer. You can see the customer record in Teams, right? You can use that as your document to storage, place. So what I'm trying to say is, you with very minimal effort, quick to market, you can get your single pane of glass that we all want um, in your sales engine, right? And then once you have that customer record and you use Dynamics to manage some of those other concepts that tie back to sales. For example, opportunity management, right? So you have your opportunities, you work those opportunities, and that's all tied back to that customer record as well. And so once again, you have that single story that we're all kind of looking for when we're reporting and trying to predict and manage our pipelines, whether it's for the greater organization or for our personal pipeline as sales folks, right? Brian, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest issues we hear from our customers, even before they maybe have a CRM solution in place, is they never really get the full understanding of how they're working with their customers or prospects as it relates to sales. And really what this tool does, and what Jenya has spoken about, was it really pulls everything in together so that, people on my direct team, maybe people on other teams that need to have that visibility into the customer, and simply go to that customer record in Dynamics and get really the full picture of what we're doing there with that customer, down to individual conversations, email communications, those sort of things that normally stay siloed if you're just using a tool like Outlook. If you're not copying other folks from other teams on, they'll never know what those conversations are. But really what the power of this tool is, really it pulls all that together. So, if I'm in accounting and I need to see what's been going on in a customer, I can look at that and see, okay, well, we've been doing these sales activities here. If I'm on another sales team, I can go and look at that if I have, visibility to do so.
hmm hmm Exactly. Thank you so much, Brian. So the other module we mentioned was the customer service module, right? That's your intake of issues that you may get from your portal, right? If the complaint or a problem or any inquiry or kind of knowledge seeking activity, you would classify that as in Dynamics land as a case, right? Using the inherent connections to that we can have with your website, email, phone system. All these tickets can get routed through a single engine, and then from there you can route it to a routing system like a queue-based system. You can give it to a specific person, you can give it to a group of people to pick it up, and once you have that ticket, you know who the customer is based on email, phone number, whatever, or information entered on the on the contact us form. And so you know who you're working with, because all this information is tied together. Once again, if you think about the customer, and then then you bubble up the information, like if you have SLAs with them, different warranties, if they have entitlements with you, if there are troublesome customer, there's been a lot of escalations. Do you need to get your manager involved? Like right away, you can chat if you set up the chat function. You can do it all from your platform. There's that once again that single pane of glass that you have around your customer and opportunities. You can have around the case management and driving that issue to success. Now, another thing I like to mention about this is because you're in that single ecosystem, there a lot of our customers see a lot of value in turning your customer service engine that is usually intake of tickets and issues into an upsell opportunity. So because you're in a single pane of glass, you can see the historical sales that have been made or things that they've shown interest in, and you can convert those cases into potential opportunities, right? So now you're turning something that was a cost center into a potential revenue, activity, or you can take those inherent cases, those issues or tickets, whatever you refer to them, we can modify to your needs, um, into sending somebody out and about, like a work order for somebody going on site, and that's a field service conversation we're going to have. But the idea is because the technology is so tied together, your business story becomes really simple to tell because we're not relying on integrations. If you've deployed, those can be difficult. We're relying on the power of the tool, which is extremely flexible based on some of the modules that we have and the ability and our inherent ability to modify the tool as an admin. Brian, do you have anything to add to the
Yeah,
customer service side of the story?
Yeah, I would say too, because everything's coming in from a case, you're having a single point of where you're ingesting those requests or issues or things that customers will ask you about. And you'll be able to do really detailed analysis of how, if you're getting cases, for instance, for a specific issue related to a machine that you sell, and we keep getting cases coming in for this particular machine, you can start doing some analysis on the data that you're capturing around it to help make improvements, to products or services you may sell. So it really allows you to, because your managers at the case level, to do that detailed analysis and take action where needed.
Exactly. Yeah, you're not just capturing data for data's sake. Because it's in this platform, you can easily create reports and pull the data you need without trying to, look all over your ecosystem of technology. Marketing. Marketing is an interesting one, right? I know that uh, marketing folks get used to a specific piece of technology over the years that they've used. Like people love Marketo, or they love Acton, or whatever, and that's fine. Dynamics, because it's a flexible platform, can absolutely integrate with those other marketing solutions. What is the benefit of using a Dynamics 365 marketing solution is kind of what we've been saying, and where I believe um, uh, the real value of a single tool comes in, which is you are working from the contact that already lives, or the lead or the customer that already lives in the platform. So you have real time results. So if a salesperson is looking at an account, they can see where people are in their marketing journey. You're bringing the two worlds together, as opposed to today, salespeople and marketing people use completely different tools, and you don't necessarily know where they are in the marketing journey if you're a salesperson. But imagine if you had that real time knowledge based on the journeys we created in the marketing engine. Salespeople can see that and make sales decisions based on actions that have been taken real time. And I think that's so powerful and such a powerful story, because so many customers I work with are taking Excel, data based on what they view important and plop it into their sales platform, or taking sales data and putting it in marketing. What if you could see, it becomes more of a single team as opposed to a manual migration effort. And then M365 marketing, you know, over the years has become definitely an enterprise level marketing solution, competing with some of the bigger players. You absolutely can build your templates. You absolutely can build your web forms. You can put people into a specific journey based on actions that they take or don't take. The journey gets built out, kind of a drag and drop tool, which we can demo for you. And based on actions they take on the website, based on actions they take on a text, email, we're driving them. And that journey builder is so powerful, based and becomes more powerful when you're pulling it from a dynamic list of contacts, which you can do because it's in single platform.
And
um,
I would say to also supplement what you're saying there, Genya, too, is because this data is all living in the same place. Some of the point solutions you mentioned, that data is in another database, right? It's sitting on another platform. So often that marketing data and sales data are sitting separately in two different systems, but marketing is sitting along with the sales data. So you mentioned about the journey that they can take. Well, because it's sitting within a single platform, you can pull in some of that sales relevant data, which could help, facilitate what journey or what path you're going to take them down within what products and services you're selling within your organization, because you are using a single data set
mhm,
to manage both sales and marketing.
right. And if you have an inside sales unit, the creating the call list becomes dynamic instead of a manual effort, where you can put into the journey to do this action to continue them down the other journey. So there's a lot of power in being kind of in a single pane. Continue on. So we mentioned field service. The concept of field service when we're talking about service. They're obviously connected, but they don't. Some companies don't intake tickets that way. They only get work order, as we call it in CRM land, and then somebody gets assigned and goes out and about and resolves the issue, right? And we work with uh, all kinds of companies in different industries that have a very large field service workforce. And how do you empower them? Because um, that can be difficult with building out some of those custom mobile applications like we've seen. So what's nice about Dynamics 365 is that whole the in-house field service of it and the external workforce piece of it is tied together. And as you make changes to the platform, it's modifying dynamically kind of the app that they would be using. So what do I mean by that? In-house, you have the ability to schedule based on people's location and expertise and resources available and you have this entire scheduling engine. So no more sitting in Excel changing colors of things. You have a dynamic tool that's telling you who's available, who's not, are they traveling, where they are. You can turn it up to 11 with geolocation and so forth. But the idea is you have a dynamic scheduling engine. And because it's tied to the app that's out of the box, meaning I can just you can just put this app onto your field services, you know, mobile device, whether it's an iPad or their phone. Based on the changes you're making in the platform, it's dynamically updating the mobile app. You can make edits to the app you're like outside of um the changes you make to the desktop version, I guess, but you don't have to do two different exercises if you don't have the budget or the time or whatever. So I think that's so powerful that the app is getting better as you're making the tool better in general. And when the app is in their hands and they're out and about, they can capture their signatures, right? They can see where they should go next. They can capture their expenses. They can do those field service level things. They can run, certain actions they need to be able to run to complete their job. So, and it's all part of that same story. So we have customers that use it from all kinds of different industries. I don't know who's all joined or what industries you're in, but imagine if you're in the utilities industry and you're setting up new internet, right? Or for a customer. That whole process can be done using the field service engine. Manufacturing, healthcare, right? Equipment maintenance, right? If I bubble back up to the Dynamics ecosystem, tying field service with the field service mobile app with some of the mixed reality and guides and suddenly training and seeing the whole story becomes much easier just being within this platform. Brian, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would say, I think the beauty of the field service app is that it's very flexible for how your service people work. So, some organizations they may send out a service tech and they could be only on site at maybe a customer location for a couple hours and they complete their job and then they're on to the next one. We have some of our customers where they could be on site for weeks while they're setting up maybe a large machine press or something like that, where they could be there for several weeks, where they're sending maybe multiple technicians that have specialties that you can manage it. And you'll be able to manage that, not only from the service tech standpoint with their mobile app, they'll be able to manage their bookings and where they should be at any given point in time. But from a schedule board standpoint, if I'm the service scheduler, I'll be able to see that all in my schedule board to see where my techs are, where they're, how far along are they in the process of completing their work. Um, you know, the other thing too is that, people may need to switch locations. Maybe someone becomes sick and we have to add a new tech at this location. Using drag and drop features within the schedule board, the scheduler can quickly make adjustments to that without a lot of trouble in getting that completed.
Thank you, Brian. So we mentioned some of the dynamic CRM modules, or if you will, templates that Microsoft kind of gives us to start with. But through the years, and this is the power of this platform, is it's a framework, not just a CRM solution. And what does that mean? It means that over the years, we've used this platform to solve business problems that don't perfectly fit into some of the modules that we discuss, right? And That is what we noticed at Synoptek is the huge benefit in acceptance of the tool, because a lot of the things that um, the hardest part about getting people to use CRMs or get into CRMs is the change management. It's different. Big Brother, whatever the concepts are. If you give people business processes that don't neatly necessarily fall into those solutions, but will make their day-to-day life easier, you are much more likely to get your team to use it for that functionality because they don't know it's a CRM necessarily. They know this is a place where they're solving this business problem, and inherently they begin to start using the other pieces of the platform, whether we use the carrot or the stick concept. So, for example, what do I mean? We worked with a customer that was a large agricultural marketing firm where they, sold shipping, where they sold proteins to all kinds of large, small organizations for their products. And one thing they did a lot was send samples. Well, that's not obviously a pre-built functionality within the platform. That's where a really good partner who understands your business and says, "Hey, using the technology you already have, in this case Dynamics, we can create the concept of samples, of sending samples." So we built out using the Dynamics framework. We built a table without any custom code, right? A table called sample, and you can capture who the contact was, who the account it went to, tied to the opportunity that the sample's tied to. So before it was an Excel spreadsheet where somebody's managing it. Now it's tied to the opportunity, the customer, and it's not a sales process, but knowing that you send samples, you can follow up easier and so forth. So my point is, we're putting other business processes that people don't inherently think about into the platform to solve business problems. So when we talked about these modules, they're just that. They're modules and they're templates, but at the end of the day, you can use the platform to do a lot of things. What I'm saying is, at this point, it's not about what the tool can do, because in theory, if your Keurig is tied to Wi-Fi, or has internet connection, I can build Dynamics to start your coffee in the morning. It's not about technically can it do it anymore. At this point, I can have this tool do whatever we need it to do. It's about why are you doing it, and having those kind of conversations with our customers. That's where we provide the most value. So that's when you have somebody like Brian on the call who's worked a lot in the manufacturing space, can, based on his experience, for example, can provide a lot of business best practices around that industry, what makes sense from the platform, where you're going to have some hiccups, and etc. So that's what I talk about when I talk about the framework of Dynamics. So what I wanted to show you is, I know we talk about the tools and tools exist, but I want to show you what it kind of looks like. This is not a full demo. I'm calling it the UI demo, right? I just wanted to show you what the tool kind of looks like, so you get an idea of what it can feel like for your business. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then Brian, if you can let me know when you can see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's visible.
Perfect. So this is, if I put in this URL, it's a web application. If I Dynamics 365, if I put the URL in, this is where it's gonna take me. You can see this blue bar this bar up top, and this gray section, the sitemap here on the left. And so this blue bar and this gray section travels with you no matter where you are in the platform. So I think it's always interesting to talk about that functionality and why did we choose these buttons to travel with you everywhere. So up here is a search, right? So the search is very powerful, and there's three different ways to search in the platform. This is the search that's going to search the entire system based on how you set it up. This is the search that if somebody calls you and you're like, "Hey, what's your name?" They tell you the name, and you might start typing, and it's a Google-like search, right? So if I start typing, it's looking through the entire platform and finding where the word, in this case, jam, so James, one concept, kind of ties back to. Over here, we have this little assistant. This is the AI I was telling you guys about that bubbles up. So using Azure-like functionality, we're bubbling up assistant-level information that is based on actions you take in the platform. If you begin to trust this tool, right? If you get that trust with the tool, it can tell you next actions or things you should do or haven't done based on you just not creating tasks for yourself, you just working and doing your job. For example, if you send an email to a customer saying, "Hey, I'll get you that," you can set this up to remind you, like, "Hey, a week ago you sent this email where you said you'll get them something, you didn't do it." So you get some of that AI functionality bubbled up to the Salesforce in this case. The quick create, this is a nice button to click where if you're working on something, I'm looking at my reports here, and somebody walks in and says, "Hey, can you put this account to the system?" To create an account in your business, it might be a long process, but you need to quickly get it in the system so you don't forget and come back to it later. That's what the quick create is for. If you're mobile, quickly create a record, a contact, so it asks for less data, right? And you can quickly, create that record. And then this little martini glass filter here is the advanced find. There's three different ways to search in the platform. Like I said, the advanced find is kind of like it sounds. It's the advanced search in the tool. This is where you can create your reports, where you can say things like, "Show me all my accounts that were created a week ago that are in the state of Minnesota, where the contact, is 6 feet tall." It depends on the data you capture, right? But you can create these dynamic reports, get that data, save it, share it, export it to Excel, once again, Microsoft story, and work with it however you want. And then these other ones, this is your personal settings. This is a help section, which can be configured to your business. Doesn't just have to be about CRM in general. This is Teams, right? This is the collaboration piece. If you have Teams, you can use that here. And this is connecting and sharing information in your personal profile. But I would say these three are the big actions, or these four with the search are the big actions. And then here on the left, you have your sitemap. This can be modified or configured. Right now, you see everything when it comes to the sales out of the box engine. You can configure it to show and hide as much as you want. I know a big issue with some of these tools, you just see so much. It's like, where do I actually click? Let's clean it up for you. Let's show you what you need to see. So we can do that. And then you have your going back to home button. You have the things you've clicked on recently. So this isn't the best task management tool, but it works in the sense of you're going to lunch, you're working on something. Hey, what was that thing I was working on? You can come back and see where you were clicking around in the system. And then if you want to come back to something, you can pin it up, right? You can pin it up and then unpin it. Say, hey, I don't want to forget this. I'm logging off for the day. That thing, I want to remember to update that record. So you have the pin functionality here, right? So this is that overarching, navigation. Accounts, right? Those are your customers. Those are the businesses you're working with. You have the ability to see a list of all those accounts and obviously click into them. Anything blue is a hyperlink. If you click into this, it'll take me to a record. The account record, if I click into this, it'll take me to the primary contact. This will create an email record. This will create a phone call record. And you can add and take away as many columns as you want, save it, and use that view the way you want to use it. This is called the view. And then you have the ability to export it to Excel. One thing I want to mention about Excel is what's slick about it is this dynamic worksheet concept where if you know there's certain people in your organization that in leadership that will never ever use CRM, they just want the data out of it, and you're constantly sending them weekly reports, put a dynamic worksheet on their desktop. It gets updated based on the actions you take in the platform, and you don't have to remember to send that report Friday, evenings anymore. They can click on it and see dynamic data whenever they want. That'll be a quick win for a lot of people in different organizations. And then if you click into the record itself, um, all this is completely configurable. Once again, Dynamics is not a point solution, right? We tweak it, we modify it to your needs. This is what I was saying, data and information. On a very basic level, I put address in, you can see address level information. I can go get directions right from here. This is obviously going to be beneficial on your mobile device. This ticker symbol is tied to Microsoft Finance, so I can open up the ticker. This is tied to Teams, Skype, your timeline, Skype, that's a shout out. Your timeline here of actions that have been taken or should be taken, and then your assistant tied specifically to this record, right? That same like, hey, don't forget about doing this thing with demo account. And then tons of other actions you can take that we can clean up, show or not show, depending on what you're trying to do in your organization. Obviously, a very high level overview of the platform. The way we like to do these demos is if you're interested in a tool like this, we understand your business and we customize and tweak the demo to your needs during the sales cycle. Okay. But I
One
always
thing
like, I like to,
I'll
oh, go ahead, Brian.
yeah, sorry. One thing I'll mention too is as you're showing the screen there, we're showing the
Well,
Sales Hub app, right?
oh yeah, I can switch
Um,
back for you. My apologies. Can you see it
yeah,
again?
so we mentioned about the sort of the modules earlier, customer service, field service, the overall look and feel of these apps are very consistent. So regardless if you're in field service or sales or customer service, the overall look and feel of it is consistent. So if you're looking at deploying this across your organization, across multiple teams, they're all going to have a consistent look and feel. So it's not a matter of having to retrain people over and over again because I was in sales and now I'm in marketing. Now I have to relearn the system. It's not like that. It's going to be, I'm in a different role. I'm still using the same sort of interface with some enhancements to it based on my role. And it's really easy for these type of, the folks at your organization to really grow with the system, regardless of where they started at in your organization.
Exactly. Thank you, Brian. To be conscious of time, I'll go back and to our PowerPoint. Hopefully you guys can we see that now? We back to that? So like I said, I did a quick overview of the UI. Once again, we can obviously turn it up to 11 for you guys and show you whatever you want to see. And then some business cases, right? Just to show you some different industries and ways people have interacted with the tool. In this case, it was a bank, and what we did for them is, build out the platform sales side, integrate this tool because Dynamics can do a lot, but it's not a trading and wealth management system. But what it does, because it's a Microsoft product, is very open endpoints. So as long as the other tool is like, yeah, integrate with us, we can use Microsoft technology to integrate very simply with some of these tools and pull some of that data to make good business decisions into the CRM. And based on the data you're pulling, you're using the efficiency and the power of Dynamics, how easy to report, how easy it is to navigate, in Dynamics, getting that data in Dynamics. We also implemented a portal for them, which was huge for banks, so people can self-service. And Dynamics, the Power Portal, right, is what it's branded as now, is powerful for one single reason, in my opinion. It's the same story that I've been saying, which is without any custom integrations, I can pull the data from my CRM, from my other Microsoft products into this portal, where other ones you have to integrate everything, right? Or there's more room for failure. So using the tools, Microsoft tools, we're able to give them the portal, give them the CRM, and then using Microsoft integration, some of the integration tools, we're able to pull data from the wealth management tool. And with that, we had some quantifiable wins when it came to, double data entry between the sales engine side of things and then the wealth management, tool side of things. Less room for error, so more accuracy, right? Because it's entered once and not twice, and so forth. And importing became easier because we didn't have to do as much. Another scenario, this is the manufacturer, and I think this is a manufacturer, but we have lots of these scenarios, is using Dynamics lead sales engine. We were able to get the lead opportunity process set up for them. We're able to set up that marketing engine so they can market to those leads, because in this industry, there's in this specific customer, it's not like they had massive amounts of leads. They needed to really work and really focus on the marketing messaging and how they communicate with the smaller potential customer base that they have, right? So the sales marketing story became more powerful than ever because you needed to be lockstep. Because if sales reached out at a point where marketing reached out and there was a miscommunication, that could have been an issue, right? So we built that process out, and I think Brian, you can talk a little bit um, about some other potential manufacturer. I know you're working on a client right now. Anything interesting that comes to mind from the manufacturing CRM story? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, it's so yeah, one of the clients I'm working with today, they're, they have, we were actually implementing all this, pretty much the entire, everything we've talked about here, the entire stack of Microsoft solutions. So sales, customer service, field service, and a couple other products. So they've gone full into the whole Microsoft stack here. And some of the things that we've encountered is, the sales team doesn't necessarily know what the customer service team was doing before we joined these solutions together, and now they're getting more of a full picture. especially if, for instance, a salesperson's going out to a customer and, maybe they're having issues with one of the machines that they've installed on site. The salesperson now knows that is an issue. There's been times before where they've gone in and to a customer and they were completely caught off guard because the salesperson didn't know that there were all these issues. So really marrying that data together has been huge for them in better managing their customers overall. And not only Jenny mentioned about upselling, but not only from an upselling standpoint, but from just I'm a salesperson trying to better provide our services and products to them, and really knowing what's happening at that customer has been very helpful for this for this client of ours.
Yep. Thank you, Brian. So I talked a little bit throughout the presentation of why I choose Synoptek, but one thing that really stands out to me, and one thing I want to mention, I know we're close on time, but what we're passionate about is we know the tool is going to work. We happen to work with Dynamics CRM, and we know, technically speaking, it's not going to hold us back from solving our business pain points and problems. We are passionate about this, right? We're passionate about partnering with you. We don't just want to be your tech shop. We want to understand your business, try to understand it better than you guys understand it, right? So we can provide best practices, so we can provide technology solutions. We are your partners. We don't want to just do one project, and we want to build a lasting relationship, and that's how we've grown the practice, and that's how we've been successful. So outside of that, obviously we do all the things you can imagine. So thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's time. It's question time. It looks like we got a question here from the audience. Looks like I'll say it out loud, and Brian, looks like you can handle it. So, do we need to submit queries as SQL queries or other means? Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so there's with being online, you don't have direct access to like a SQL database. So there's a couple different ways we could do this. You can build custom fetch XML queries to query data within Dynamics, and obviously using Azure too, you can build more advanced queries with Azure. Jenny was showing earlier the advanced find. That's really the query engine that you can use to start. Behind the scenes, that advanced find is using fetch XML to get to that data through the web services. And you could start with that and then build advanced queries using custom fetch XML that you can develop yourself.
Perfect. Thank you, Brian. Hopefully that answers your question. Any other questions that come to mind? Okay. If not, everybody, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Brian or myself, and have a great day.
Thank you.